Good afternoon, everybody.
Hello.
My name is Heather Best. I work for Diversified, and I am also your film director for the Without Boundaries Behind the Screens Film Festival. For those of you who don't know what the film festival stands for, I could tell you that it came to life at last NAB at 1 o'clock in the morning, sitting around a round table with some of my colleagues, but that would be giving away that I actually stay out past midnight, which I don't. For those of you who know Diversified, we thrive on some of the pillars of success. One of those pillars to success is being diverse and being united. But I think in today's world, that can be a really scary word to use. DE&I really isn't thrown around as much as it used to be. In order for us to connect with our customers, our vendors, our manufacturers, and honestly just our colleagues, we can't just be telling people that we should be doing or we could be doing. We actually need to invest in what that means, and we want to be able to show you what we're doing. A couple of years ago, I was sitting around at a client's site, and I was looking at about 40,000 fans in their building, and I thought to myself, what actually happens in behind the screen? So I was fortunate enough and able to take a tour there, but also spend a lot of time there and grow to know these people in behind the screens. I bet you every single fan in that building has no idea what it takes to bring a live production to life and bring it to you in your house. They work countless hours together to make millions of people have a great moment and have a great time. We want to shine a light this year on the women that are behind the screens, bringing to life everything that comes to you in your home, on your tablets, and just really everyday life. This year, in our inaugural launch, we had 145 film festival submissions, 16 semifinalists, and what you see behind me here are the 6 winners that actually we flew in to New York from all over the world to be able to participate in what is NAB and kind of really give them a behind-the-scenes experience. All through this week, we spent time at vendor locations, on client sites. We looked at in-behind-the-scenes stuff on how things were made. We took them around and really valued our partners and really showed them what it means. I think in today's life, we struggle with what a talent pool looks like. You know, I said to my boss one time, why aren't we hiring more women? And he said, Heather, bring me a woman that wants to do this job and I will hire them instantly. So that's what I'm trying to do. Of course, all of this would not be possible if we didn't have our amazing sponsors. I'd really love to give a huge shout out to Barco, Crestron, and La Grande AV. I know John's sitting in the back there. Thank you, John. Honestly, none of this would be possible without all of you. And of course, because we bit off more than we could chew, I have no idea what a film festival was supposed to look like. I'm a technical nerd in the background, and it really started to get out of hand. We were able to enlist the help of 5 amazing women throughout the community. And I just want to give a quick shout out to our judges, Brittany Alexander from Monumental Sports and Entertainment, Chenny Chen from She Strikes, Susan Favre, the executive producer of TMZ, Kat Jackson from Audible Studios, and the VP of Programs, Kathy Nichols at Women in Media. Thank you. All right, and that brings me to our very first winner this year. I would like to introduce Megan and Lauren. They entered a film called Breaking the Lens, The Journey of Female Media Production Students.
Males can't always tell female stories the way that we can. You will have to work twice as hard as your white female counterparts and 4 times as hard as your white male counterparts.
I'm gonna have to deal with this for the rest of my career. Like, how am I gonna do this?
What are we calling this?
Female Film Student Roundtable Discussion. Take 1.
Excellent. That was just a brief preview of their full film. Up next is Michelle DeLauder. This is not a blank page. Very, very short clip, but a great sneak peek. Up next, we have Kathy Meng with Willow and Woo.
你好，我是老吴。
吴先生好，我叫 Willow。
进来吧。你和我妻子一起工作吗？
是的。我在他手下工作，也在您手下工作。这就是稿子吗？
你是学电影的是吧？
其实我是学传媒的，不过也算是吧。对。
很好。
吴先生。
叫我老吴就行。
所以我们今天是拍什么呢？
我们今天就拍摄这个吴太太替我写好的讲稿。
哦，好。没关系，今天肯定能搞定的，吴先生。
老吴。
呜。哦，这个我来，来研究一下。
Thank you, Kathy. We have This Is My Mission by Ana Karen Ramirez. And stepping in because she couldn't be here with us today is her sister Yvonne. Thank you.
Ana Karen, quisiste cambiar un sistema que parece programado para excluir. Nunca parece que estas historias tengan éxito. Seguimos viviendo en un mundo donde solo 3 de cada 10 personas en ciencia y tecnología son mujeres.
La mejor forma de cambiar eso, yo creo que es con la educación. Creé Epic Queen, este movimiento para cerrar la brecha de género en las STEM. El mundo necesita trabajar en conjunto. Lo que yo hago es solo una parte de un rompecabezas, una pequeñísima parte del rompecabezas.
Si el futuro es la inteligencia artificial y en la IA no hay mujeres, entonces el futuro no tendrá mujeres.
Pero para lograr un futuro diferente, donde se vea brillante para ellas, necesitaba empezar hoy.
Esta misión nunca fue solo tuya. Tiene que ser de todos.
And Interception, Jane Kennedy, American Sportscaster by Sophia.
CBS was looking for a female to take the desk at the CBS NFL Today. I mean, it was like, to me, a dream come true. So I asked my agent to submit me, and they refused. They're not looking for a black, and they're not looking for a non-journalist. So I said, okay, cool. I'm just going on my own. My parents always raised me to never doubt myself. If you want to do something, go for it.
I'm Jane Kennedy. I'm Jane Kennedy. I'm Jane Kennedy.
Everybody that was doing the audition, they were all blonde. And I was the only one. I said, you know, they're not looking for a black. I'm not going to get this job.
Thank you. All such amazing videos, all with a different story to tell. I'll tell you, had I been on the judging panel, all 16 semifinalists would have won. There's no way I would have been able to choose. So I really want to focus in on our winners because really today is about them. You know, I pondered, you know, what kind of questions should I ask them? Should I ask them what it means to be a woman in media? You know, but I think what I'd really love to ask each and every one of you, and Sophia, will start with you. And I'm going to ask you all the same question. So you'll have a chance to think about it. Except for you. You won't. I'd love to hear what your experience this week has been, what it has meant to you, a little bit about the vision of your film, and maybe if you could touch on, you know, if we look over the last 100 years, I think you had mentioned 85% of filmmakers are typically male, white men. 95% are typically male, and that's kind of where the other gap is. And only 5% are female. So do you think that the world has missed out on a different perspective? And could you maybe touch on that a little bit?
Sure. So, thank you all for coming out and listening to what we have to say in our visions first. My name is Sophia Songhai. I'm the director, the editor, the producer of a film called Interception, Jane Kennedy, American Sportscaster. And I actually never envisioned the work of Jane Kennedy, who's the first African-American woman sportscaster in American television. She had a kick in the door. They were not hiring Black people. They were not auditioning Black people. They were not interested in a Black woman, and hardly a woman, having that very lucrative and very, it's like a very substantive, sought after major broadcasting job to be a sportscaster, specifically a sportscaster. And they certainly were not giving it to her, and they definitely weren't giving anyone like her that job in 1978. So what this week has meant to me is that I really never thought about what she did as something that was advancing what is now recognized as STEM and broadcasting and media for really half of the entire human population. And I don't think that she thought the same thing at the time that she was doing it. I didn't think that she would know that what she was doing in 1978 would have this long-reaching, multi-decade, 40 years later, the effect on the zeitgeist, on the entire United States population in terms of access, privileges, and just overall the idea of the dream a little girl can dream. Is it secretary, teacher, and nurse, and that's it? Is that all that you get three options, and that's all that you can do? Anytime any woman, and other pursuits of happiness are illustrated in the other films, but anytime a woman or a girl, a young woman, anyone decides to go and chase after something where there is no paved road, there is no avenue, she opens up the minds of all women who want to go in any direction, any way that you would like to, pursue your vision. If it's being an astronaut or a deep sea diver, right? You don't actually have to be in the same field in order to influence people who would like to pursue other fields. In addition to that, one of the sponsors, we went to the Art Tech museum. It was incredible. I never really thought about the idea that you could walk into a film, and it changed. That is another thing that I gained from this week, was the idea that a person could walk into a 4-dimensional, I think it's 5-dimensional, maybe 6 dimensions. I don't know how many dimensions were covered at this museum, but I know I went into a lot of dimensions, and I'm not sure if I'm out yet, but either way, it made it so that I can tell stories. I imagine stories in a way that is truly immersive. In addition to that, your last question, the idea of really how would the last 100 years have been if the creators of media were more gender balanced and perspective balanced, in addition to gender, the idea of class, the idea of regions of the world, different blue collar versus white collar, like all the different ways that we all participate in creating the good and bad things of this world, right? Like there's so many different things happening. But when I realized all my whole life, I've always been influenced specifically by a upper class white male, specifically white male, director, story structure, conceptualization of a story, pursuit of happiness. When somebody is attacked by something, what do? Do they reach for a gun? Do they try to roundhouse kick their way through the door? I don't do any of those things when I'm faced with right, adversity. I am not I am not Harrison Ford. I have no nunchucks. I have no martial arts skills. So I can't escape into a world where that is something, that reaction is available to me. And yet I've never seen I rarely see people in film who react the way that I react, right? When I'm faced with some sort of insurmountable, obstacle. And that's where the variety of options, because that's what stories do. You may not be going through something right now, but one day you will be. And people always think, well, you know how in that movie they did that thing? And you're like, maybe we should cut the red wire instead of the blue wire because I saw MacGyver do it, right? You think about how to solve problems because films give you a simulation of what might be on the horizon for your life. And and how you would deal with it. The feelings that you have do not justify every action that you take. Just because someone hurts you doesn't mean that you can then destroy them. You can't, that isn't the only angle. There are other avenues, and stories show you what your other options are when your heart is broken. Okay. Yeah. And that's what I always try to show people is if this ever befalls your life, here's a story of someone who overcame it and didn't let it crush her. She didn't let it dissuade her. She didn't go get a safe job, as a teacher, nurse. Now, and I'm a teacher. I'm not saying anything about teachers and nurses or secretaries, but she didn't give up and go back into the cookie cutter. She went and forged a path. So that is exactly what I think we missed out on in the past 100 years, because we didn't see the reaction of the half the population that gave birth to all of us. I don't know, women.
Well, that was an absolutely fantastic perspective. Thank you for that. Yvonne, I'm hoping your sister armed you with what her film meant to her.
Yeah, she was like hoping to be here, but she wasn't able to do it. She had a lot of things going on in Mexico City. I'm from Mexico. My sister and I created together this little short film. It's our first film about this. She created Epic Queen, and it's a company. We've been here 10 years with the company, and the mission of this film was just to tell the story in a different way. Like, we've been telling these stories of working with girls and young people through STEM, through education programs around coding and robotics. And we just wanted to start this year telling the stories of these girls that are like evolving on the STEM industry and science industry, and wanted to just show the world that the diversified voices of these girls are super important in technology, because we have AI coming up with all the force, and women are not in the technology industry necessarily super there. What we are, of course we are there, but it's not enough. We need more of unrepresented voices there, and we need to have that, and our mission is that, to show that if the world is programmed to just not show the women or girls or other unrepresented voices, we want to show them through our short film that it's not like that. We can reprogram whatever we want, like decoding, like code in like the world. We can reprogram it into a more diverse and more I don't know empathy world, and more open to everyone and other voices.
You're here to stay and you're not going anywhere.
Yeah, exactly. And we want to keep going. It's not enough 100 years. We need to keep going with this story and just keep building our path, and that's it for us. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Yvonne.
Thank you. Yeah. I think you got that.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. My film, Will and Woo, is based on my experience when I was living in New York. And I was this multi-billionaire family's personal assistant, and I had this job in my early 20s, and it was an extremely Devil Wears Prada environment. And the film, I really wanted to capture my experience just working for someone so much more powerful than you, and how high the expectations and pressure at work was, where, my boss expected everything to be perfect. And when you watch the film, you'll see, they asked me to film a video for them, but it's a very personal video, which hopefully when you see the film, it's a strange thing I had to do at work, but I didn't even know how to operate the camera gear. So that was extremely uncomfortable, and I found myself second guessing, all their instructions. But through the experience of filming this video, the assistant actually discovers she has something to offer to the boss, and that's actually vulnerability. And that's why I'm a filmmaker, is just to tell nuanced stories. And the main character, she's a personal assistant. She's someone in the back office who you wouldn't think about every day. She's not a superhero. But I want to show just the nuances in her personal relationships as well, and at work. Because I think so often in film and TV, you see, 10, 20 years, 30 years ago, you see female characters only portrayed as the wife, the lover, the girlfriend, the mother, and you don't even see them in a full spectrum kind of way. You just see how they kind of serve their male partners. So that's why I wanted to tell my story, and it's been absolutely incredible to be here and with such a diverse group, very diversified, and yeah, and I agree with Sophia, just seeing the XR, VR, the XR stories that I had never seen before with Barcode, that was incredible. And I would say what also means so much to me to be here is just, it's affirmative that we're on the stage even. I mean, how often, this is my first time at a trade show like this. Yeah. So yeah, just by the virtue of us being here, it's already so powerful. And thank you all.
Thank you, Kathy.
I'm Michelle Delatour. I have a film in here called This Is Not a Blank Page. I'm going to start with your last question first, because I think that's part of the inspiration for making this film. It focuses on all of the behind the scenes, behind the screens folks that might have made something as simple as a Google Doc or a Word doc happen. So it dives into a little bit of the history of coding and all of the women who made that possible. I had the serendipitous, if that's a word, moment today to tour the show with a high school group that we put together. And it was a wonderful moment for me to see the next generation of audio professionals asking questions of the people here. And so for me, that's one of the impacts that not only everyone on this now everyone here on this panel can have, but that everyone here at their respective booths and everyone that's visiting can have, that they are answering questions, they're inspiring the next generation. They had awesome questions, by the way. They were fantastic. And so I'm really excited that this film festival happens at this particular time, where we're seeing the next generation of folks have these amazing stories and ideas that they're going to put together in something like a film, something in a song, and we're going to continue to see that going forward. So thank you all here. Thank you. And thank you all for being a part of that too. I think all of our collective stories and experiences change the work that we're doing. We're all bringing our own experiences to the table. We're all bringing our own collective roles, positions, et cetera, to the table, and we create our own stories. And so we're all very lucky to see everyone's work in that way. So thank you for being here.
Thank you.
I'm Lauren Delegati. I co-directed the documentary Breaking the Lens with my friend Megan. We made this documentary in college, and the reason why we made it is because we kind of saw a gap in conversation around what it's like to be a woman in film or media school. I feel like sometimes, you hear about what it's like in the professional world, but how, how do students feel, female students feel when they're in school? And we really wanted to spark discussion around the importance of mentorship and having those female support groups when you're in school to be able to motivate you to feel confident that you can have a professional career in filmmaking, especially being from a cinematographer as well, knowing that there's a very small amount of women in that field professionally. And then being from Ohio, which is where we shot our documentary, in a media school in Ohio, there was almost no representation at my school for that. So we really wanted, what we did is we gathered some of our fellow female classmates. We had a roundtable discussion with them where they just had open dialogue about their experiences, being at our school. And then we got 2 alumni speakers as well that we interviewed that were able to compare their experience in school versus now being in the professional world. But we really wanted to spark discussion around that and just, make people aware that, mentorship is important, being able to see yourself, in your career, being able to get connected with women at a young age. Yeah, it's extremely important. So, and thank you for having us. This is really awesome to be here. And it's really great. I think what Kathy said, it's really affirming to be here and being able to talk about our project. And it just goes to show that there are women in this field and we can do it and we make really awesome stuff and it's amazing that it's being recognized. So thank you.
Hi, I'm Megan House. I was the co-director and producer of Breaking the Lens with Lauren. I never expected myself to go into the film world. I grew up in a small conservative family, and then through watching film and media realized that I was a gay woman and there was no one to look up to her, no mentorship, no nothing. Everything was made by white straight men. And so I just didn't see myself on the screen or really anywhere. And our film is about mentorship and finding mentorship. And I was
what if I just became the mentor, or what if I had to be the one that had to be the queer woman in the room who wants to change the narrative and the story? And so I think it's been so important to me to be here with all of these women, because we came from a school and a place where there was not a lot of mentorship, and now I have 4, 5, 6 new mentors that I'll be connected with for the rest of my career. And it's just been really life-changing and an incredible experience. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. I work for Diversified, and there's a reason I'm saying that. You know, I've had the privilege of working for a company that has done nothing but encourage me to be able to build my career, and it has given me the freedom to continue to shape others' lives as well. Not only do I work at Diversified, but I'm also our president of our women's empowerment group. And I think we all know these internal groups never happen unless you have the right leaders supporting you. I can tell you that every leader at the top at Diversified, including our Senior Vice President of Marketing, Jesse Humphrey in the back there, supports everything that we're doing. You know, I think we hear about something called the sticky floor syndrome, you know, where we get caught on the bottom. We think we can't do something. We think we shouldn't apply for something because we're not qualified. That's why this Without Boundaries inaugural film festival is so important. I always talk about shattering glass ceilings. This is what this is meant to do. We are here to stay, and we are not going anywhere. You know, we've put so much focus on what we should be doing or could be doing, and this is giving a chance to show the world we are doing. We cannot inspire the next generation to become who we are unless we can show them what we're doing. I want to take one more moment here to thank a couple of incredibly key partners that were in the background who this would not have been possible. Able Cine, for one, has graciously donated their space in order for us to do a film festival viewing later tonight. So thank you, Dawn and Pete. Really appreciate it. Obviously, this wouldn't be anything without the Avixa Women's Council. They're a key player within our AV and media side. Last night, we had an amazing event with Gals in Gear. Thank you, Amy DeLuise. We really appreciate you. And when I say we bit off more than we could chew in producing a film festival, we hired Lotus Shark, and they didn't just come to the table and say, oh, I guess we need to do this. They knocked it out of the park. They invested. They believed in this. Of course, at Pace University, we've got Next Level Learning. SVGW, of course, always a favorite partner of mine. And of course, we needed to include our women's empowerment group from Diversified. Again, this is Without Boundaries Behind the Screens Festival inaugural year. Thank you, everyone.